Yeah, that's Harmonies. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that game.
What?
I don't remember.
You didn't remember Harmonies?
I remember, but I need to, I need to look at a picture just to, remind myself of what I'm doing.
It was brilliant. Why?
It was great. But it doesn't mean I remember. I played, between Harmonies, I still played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games between Harmonies and the end of the month. So,
sure.
There's only so much memory space.
Sure.
You can fill into your brain,
Yeah, I get it.
And some games though they're good, they just you forget about them.
Right. I mean, Harmonies is sad now. You've made Harmonies sad. What's happening, party people? Welcome to Punchboard Party. My name is Daniel. This is Father Greg's head. This is Father Greg.
What's happening, everyone? Party people.
This is our best of the month, where we talk about all the games that we played in the month of December. This time, with the two of us, we have 45 unique games to talk about.
Hot dog.
Oh, are you ready?
December was the best month, second to September. So September was my best month for gaming. December, second place.
So you let us know down in the comments below what you think about the games we've been playing, what you've been playing especially, as we enter into a new year. Come along with us as we talk about what our favorite board game out of all these games is. But that won't be for another hour, so hang tight.
Sure. This month, I played 10 new games.
Wow.
That was a big month. 10 new games and 4 old favorites.
Okay.
So it was a lot of great things to talk about. And the first new game that I played this month, game that I got on Kickstarter. Game came out a while ago, but it came with a Kickstarter only expansion.
Sure.
And so I bought it. And that's the game Hamlet.
Yes. So sorry, Father Greg, what's a Hamlet?
A Hamlet is like a village or a place where people live that doesn't have a church.
Huh.
So if you get a church, you're not a Hamlet anymore.
Wow.
At least in England or something.
Down with Hamlets. We like churches.
Yeah, so apparently all you need to do is build a church.
Sure.
So that's what you're trying to do. It's a pick up and deliver game. You get wood that's produced at a lumberyard, but you got to take it over to the spot that's going to turn it into actual timber. And then you got to take dairy and bring it over to the place or milk. It's going to turn it into dairy, like cheese and stuff. Sure. Or it can turn it into cows, meat. I don't know what else you can make. Yeah, I forget there's something else you can make with dairy. You turn dairy into other stuff, food or something,
You're flipping basic resources into, premier resources.
That's right, yeah. And so you're just trying to deliver them to the church and, meet different goals. It has some cool things about it, the tiles they're not little hexagons that
cool.
all fit.
That's cool about it?
It's different, right? It's
that was annoying as hell.
It's they don't all fit together. It's not there's tiles that are weird shapes, but you're drawing them out of a bag, which is even weirder because
Sure.
they're not the same size. So you can feel in the bag, I'm picking out a really big one, or I'm picking out a little tiny one.
That's
so
right.
You could feel the different sizes. So perfectly good. I don't know if it's great, but it's solidly good. Listen, man, Hamlet's not that bad.
I did not like this game. Okay, so here's the deal. Here's the deal with Hamlet, okay? The graphic design is just bad. And the tiles don't help.
What the graphic? It's beautiful.
No.
A nice, beautiful little...
No. Sorry, the art is fine.
Sure.
The graphic design, the actual, symbology and how the routes move and the fact... So basically, you're making connections from the core of the town to out in the peripheries. Mm-hmm. And so you need to have donkeys or whatever. So you build donkeys along the way. And then there has to be routes that are connected, but tiles are built in such a way that they get blocked off, and it's visually hard to keep track of my routes.
Sure.
It's just difficult. So the primary way that you gain points in the game actively makes difficult to keep track of.
Yeah, it just exercises the mind a little bit. The eyes.
Instead of donkeys, there should have been just colored roads that you put down, or trains, because essentially it's Ticket to Ride route building style, but the donkeys don't help keep things visual because they just sit in the middle of a tile. Mm-hmm. It's not they span a tile,
right?
So you can't really tell easily. Anyway, it might sound like a little gripe, but it was a hard.
Sure.
It impeded my experience of the game significantly. to try and figure out. And then at the end of the day, what I was doing wasn't all that exciting. Like, it was just like...
You weren't satisfied by delivering 6 milk to the church?
Well, I never did that, so that's part of it. That's part of it.
Sure.
But yeah, I just didn't find it. It was a ho-hum game impeded greatly by poor graphic design choices, I thought. You'll be fine. Mary Dallas will play with you fine.
Sure.
Sarah and I, to kick off the year, we were hanging around, and Sarah said, whenever I tell people that my husband is super into board games and we have tons of board games, they say, oh, like Wingspan? Sarah was like, yeah, like she always has to say, yeah, we have Wingspan. She was like, I don't think I've ever played it. She did. She had played it twice up until that point. When we pulled it out to play Wingspan on the scorecard, we had 2 games recorded. But we played it again to make sure that she had a memory of playing Wingspan. This was my best play of Wingspan. I mean, only my 3rd time playing it, but this sort of brought Wingspan back into... I've always kept it around because I knew that people loved it. I knew people loved it for a reason. I didn't personally experience the thing that people loved about it, but I'm glad I gave it another shot because there is something really cool about this game. I do think that with titles like Earth now... It kind of gets usurped a little bit, but not by much. Like, it's more accessible than Earth. And so, again, really like just kind of you're building birds onto a tableau. Depending on the row that you're building your birds in, the core actions of the game are getting better for you. You're able to get more eggs, you're able to get more food, you're able to get more cards. That's neat. So just a neat, simple puzzle, like a very minor tech tree for you to work with. Lots of fun. My main gripe with the game is the actual, like, food mechanism in the game. These darn dice in a treehouse where when you collect food, you can only collect out of the dice that are available. Right. Now, every 2 can become 1 of something else, so got to remember that helps. But it is frustrating when you're like, okay, I can get 2 food. I need cherries, and there's no cherries available. So I'm getting 2 worms to make my 1 cherry. Anyway, so I found that kind of not great.
Tell that to the birds. Looking for cherries, and there just ain't no cherries. They have to deal with just worms.
That's right.
So a hard life.
But this is an excellent game that is worthy to be in any gamer's collection.
Yep.
Lots of fun to play
This is in my old favorites that I kind of need to get back to the table. So
sure.
We'll be playing at this sometime in 2025.
Well, we can make that happen.
The next game, so after we played Hamlet, Daniel was unsatisfied, so he decided to pull out Nidavellir instead to redeem the day. And boy, did it ever. I mean, Nidavellir's great.
It did.
Nidavellir's fun, you know. We didn't even play with half... I mean, we played with all the dwarves, but, we didn't even explain half of them. So, half of the strategy's just, completely unused and untalked
That was my
about.
bad. I think that ruined the experience a little bit for Dallas. I think he would have liked to have known more in depth what his options were.
Sure.
But they just get a little confusing.
Right. There's a lot of dwarves that are set up on the little boards that you can see and purchase, and it's okay, I know what that one does. I'll just go after that.
When you get one of each color dwarf, or one tier of each color dwarf, then you're able to choose one of these special dwarves. Right. And they score things in different ways or have special actions. Yeah. We've often explained Nidavellir as an engine builder, in that category of a Splendor or a Hadara, but I think that does it disservice, because after playing this time, I was like, oh wait, this isn't an engine builder. This is a set collection game through and through. Right. This is pure drafting and set collection. Right. In the coin mechanism, there's a little bit of a deck building, but with coins, where you're upgrading the coins that you use to exert your influence in bidding turn order. You bid for turn order.
Right. You're giving up on a good bid this round to get a better bid in future rounds, and you can keep doing that. Yes. Until you get to the very end, last round, and then you have the highest bid, and then...
And when you are trading up your coins, you're always getting rid of you give 2 coins, and you give your best of the 2. So you're always, just kind of getting upgrade. A little better. Yeah. A little better, because, And so that's a fun mechanism to try and wrap your head around while you're trying to just, get all the orange. You need to get the orange. Had a few guys over for games, and before Father Greg showed up, we busted out Crusaders Thy Will Be Done. Daniel had been playing this on Board Game Arena with a buddy of his. And so he wanted to get it to the table. He wanted to see what this was like to play in person. And so we played it in person, and this is good. So 4 players. It was Colin, Pierce, Daniel, and myself, and we played Crusaders. I Will Be Done. This is a snappy. You got a rondel with actions on it. These action tiles that can be upgraded. So then there's 2 actions on each tile that you can choose from, and it's a Mancala style where you move tokens around a board, and so depending on how many you remove from a tile, that's the number of action points you have to spend on that tile. And so you can spend it on, if there's 2 actions available on a tile, you can split the action tokens between the 2 actions, or you can just do one of the actions a lot or whatever. And then you move them just kind of one at a time around the rondel and disperse them. Or instead of doing an action, you can upgrade a tile and then move the tokens from that tile or from any tile actually around the board. So that's how you can kind of orchestrate your board a little bit to do the actions you want to do. And you're sending your Crusader across Europe or whatever, Scandinavia. You're fighting different armies, and you're setting up castles and banks and different things. And the more you set up, the more points and are available to you. If you get to the end of a row of building certain building types, there's endgame scoring that's available. This is just you're pulling points out of a pool of points, and once that pool is depleted, then the game ends, and you see who has the most points. This is a fun game of like, when do I do something, and when do I upgrade my wheel, and when I'm doing something, how do I do it, and what's going to give me the most points? Fighting an army, is that going to give me the most points? The more armies that are fought, the more points they become worth. Oh, there's lots to think of. So really enjoyed this play of Crusaders. That Will Be Done. You came in near the end.
I was a little jealous when I came in and I saw you guys playing. I was like, ah. My number 1 most played game of 2024 was Forage.
Wow.
So I had 9 plays of it.
Wow.
Another one, talked about it. Forage.
Okay.
Sorry.
Good. Okay, went over to Dave's. Colin was there. We played Underwater Cities with the New Discoveries expansion.
Oh.
And so I just realized Underwater Cities is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is hard.
And so when I was remembering Underwater Cities before, I was remembering it as a bit more of like, ooh, fun, colored cards, worker placement, yay. This is like, not that. It's not bad. Like, this is a good game.
It's a good game.
This is a good game. So good. But it's like, you kind of got to be there for it. Kind of got to be in the mood. I did well. I didn't win. I think I was still third, but I was like in the pack, which I felt good about. I went for like a tunnel strategy.
Yep.
I just built a lot of tunnels. But to keep things straight in my mind while I was building tunnels, and the thing that got me was there's these action cards that you build in your tableau, and then once you build them, then you can use them. So when you build them, you don't use them. They just kind of, now they're there, and now you can tap them.
Right.
And that like extra kind of step to get them actually to use always hung me up. I always was like playing my turn as if when I played that card I would do the thing, and then I had to realize, oh wait, I can't do that yet.
Right.
So just the machinations were hanging me out to dry a little bit. I was like trying to so great game, but know that you're in for like a bit of a mental marathon to really pull out any sort of showing.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, lots of fun though.
Great. I think Underwater Seas is like another game that's in like my old kind of favorites that I haven't played in a while. And Daniel, let me take you back to a city in France where it took 400 years for them to build a cathedral.
Wow.
Does that sound like a fun city to be part of or what? But you know, it is. It is. Troyes is a great game. You know? It's like there's like all kinds of crap happening. There's famine, there's like marauders, you're trying to build a church, there's heresies, like nothing's going right. But you know what? There's something satisfying about just picking up dice and maybe you're fighting marauders. It's like not cooperative by any stretch of the imagination, but there is like a little bit of like, okay guys, we need to work together to get rid of these guys that are invading. Who's going to take care of that? Who's going to like, you know?
But you get points for doing more of the defending.
That's right, you do. So it's like, you're obviously winning, but it's like, it's still like, one of us should do it, right?
Yes,
like,
that's right.
You got 8 guys in the military. You should probably be sending some of those dice out to, shoot some of them. Or you could just send them hunting. those are your choices, you know?
Sure.
You know, and I just sent monks on processions all day, you know?
Okay, nice.
Big, long processions.
You stayed true to form.
That's right. Just built the cathedral. But no, I love Troyes. It was an old favorite when I get back to the table. I've not played Troyes in a long time. But it's just satisfying. It's like, you'd think a game that was about 400 years to build a cathedral would take a long time. But, like, it doesn't.
Right.
It's like 4 rounds, and it's over. It's, like, pretty easy, yeah.
Sure, medium weight Euro.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I have not played Troyes yet.
Man.
I really want to. I was about to. I was over at Dave's once. Dave and Father Dan, we were about to play Troyes, and then I got a call that Ethan had puked all over the place.
Oh, no.
So I had to get home.
Sure.
So I got home. And didn't play Troyes. So it's still there, just beyond my reach.
Oh, cool. I'll bring that over sometime.
Yeah. So this month brings a lot of gaming with my kids. Mm-hmm. And this is probably the first month, I would say, where gaming like landed where it ought to. I'm going to talk about a lot of experiences where the game we brought to the table hit where the kids were at, and they just loved it, and it worked, and they're kind of coming into their own, and it's fun. I suggested to Ethan, hey, let's play Challengers. Then I came downstairs and realized it was at the church. And so I said, what about Captain Flip? And he said, sure. So we played Captain Flip together.
Wow.
It was a lovely experience. Just Ethan and I. He gets so cute. He looks at a tile. He's like, ooh. He flips it over.
Right.
Not sure, goes so slow. The game takes double the time to try and get that played. But yeah, Captain Flip, lovely game. Love that I can play with my kids. And just have fun. Just that little thrill of, should I play this tile the way I've drawn it out of the bag, or should I take the risk and flip it and be stuck with whatever's on the other side? And it's all about adjacency scoring. So
yeah, cool.
Really fun.
Love it. The next game that I played, I think, was after the time you guys played Crusaders.
Yes.
Then we pulled out Hadara.
Yes.
And oh man, Benjamin Schwer. I don't know where you went. You just disappeared.
No.
You produced Crown of Amara and Hadara.
No,
and
he designed Jin.
Okay.
Last year.
Never played Jin.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you for coming back, Benjamin Schwer. Because I was like waiting.
Right.
I was waiting after playing Hadara and Crown of Amara. I was like, man, what is this guy going to do next? And he did nothing for like 5 years.
That's right.
But yeah, I love Hadara. Just developing a civilization by drafting cards, and every card gets cheaper. It's got a little bit of that Nidavellir, sort of like, do I want to balance everything out? Do I want to go all in on one color? How do I want to play this? Both ways are good, and yeah.
So I tried something I never tried before. I bought both of my gold medals in the first round. And so that means that you're going to get points for however many sets of each color type you have, you're going to get points. And double the points, because I have both the gold medals.
Yeah, 14 points for every set.
And so I spread myself, because normally I go big into blue. That's kind of what I try and do most of the time, because blue has a lot of the bigger points and whatever else, and then they're cheaper each time. You're just buying blue. Okay, I tried something different. It was neat. I felt like comfortable in every type, you know?
Right.
I felt like I could kind of do most of what I wanted to do. I could, figure things out. Things got a little tight here and there, but by and large, I was able to kind of keep pace with everything, and I came out victorious.
Yeah.
It's very good. Okay, this is the one example of games not landing where my kids are at right now.
Sure. I
was like, you know what? My kids would love Smash Up. Like the theme.
Right.
So I brought out Smash Up.
You just did? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. My kids will love Smash Up, so instead I brought out a superhero game. We played Marvel United together or something. No, you just literally brought out Smash Up. Got it.
So here's where it all went south. Owen said, sure, but can you take it easy on me? Owen's a little more sensitive in this department. And so I said yes. But then Ethan saw us at the table and he said, hey, can I play? And so he got in on the game. And so he wasn't in on the deal for letting Owen win. And so I was trying to orchestrate things as we were playing the game. I was trying to, take it easy on them, make sure. Ethan just came in, he sniped us both, and he just won the game. And so Owen was pretty upset.
Wow.
But again, I stand by. I love a good game of Smash Up. Yeah, there should be an addendum in the rules that you need to just race to break these bases. Because otherwise, if someone's not cognizant of the fact that they just want to get these bases broken to get the points distributed, to get to the 15 points, then the game just drags. If you're just like going, I'll play a card here, I'll play a card there, I'll play a card. It's like, no, just like, let's load this base up. Right. So I kept on being like, hey, if you put someone here, the base will break and you'll get points. Like, come on. And the game plays great.
Right.
If you do that. So again, I love being a good game of Smash Up.
Yes, I find it does take a little too long for what it is.
Yeah.
But the theme is great. And
yes.
like, every time I feel like I should love a game of that.
That's right.
It's kind of like Villainous. It's like, I should love this game, but I just don't.
Yeah, sure.
Not really sure why. Played a new game.
Woo!
New game. Woo!
Are we going to say this every time?
That's right. Went over to Father Dan's house and we played Welcome to the Moon.
Oh! Started a little legacy campaign.
Sort of. Yeah,
Okay.
It's not legacy. It's just like Welcome to had neighborhoods, and then they released a few different expansions that were like, there's a Christmas expansion where now your houses have Christmas lights that tie them together, or it's Halloween and you collect those little candies that nobody likes. Those like popcorn, like the little triangle things, orange and
the
black.
Candy corn.
Candy corn. That's the one.
Sure.
You're trying to collect, or like the one, there's Doomsday, there's zombies invading or something.
Sure.
But they're all like pretty similar.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Moon has similar. There's like 6 or 8 or maybe more different maps. Okay. But they all play considerably different. Like you're drafting the same cards, it's the same cards, but like the purple card does something different in one game than it does in the other game.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we played. So we play. I think it was the first mission. Anyways, we're just leaving Earth. Like Earth is gonna blow up.
Yeah.
So we got to get out of there. So
sounds about right.
So we're like going off, and then eventually you got to go certain spaces, and you try to get on space stations, but you can only get a space station if you collect all of them. Like if you circle all of the numbers on the space station, then you get the space station. If not, it scores nothing. But then like the space station score times the points times the number of plants that you have, and so like so it's like Welcome to, but with a nice little twist. And so I thoroughly enjoyed Welcome to the Moon.
Sweet. Yeah. Okay, Father Greg, it was on my brain for a long time, and so I forced you to play it with me. Bonfire.
Yeah.
We got Bonfire played.
Sure.
So good. What do you mean sure?
Well, Seven Feld was my 5th most popular designer this past year.
Wow, cool. That's great. So Bonfire has this really neat, there's 2 neat things going on. So there's these tasks that turn into bonfires, and they're all over these islands. And so you send your boat out, you collect some tasks, you got to pay some resources to get the tasks, you set them up in your little bonfire area, procession tracker thing. A little convoluted.
Right.
But then you fulfill these tasks, and then once you fulfill these tasks, you can take an action and turn that task into a bonfire, and then you can send a guardian into the bonfire to get some additional points. But I just love this idea of getting out, getting some goals, and achieving those goals. That's the heart of the game. But then the other cool thing about the game is the way that you kind of get actions. So you get these action tokens by playing these like fate tiles, they're called. And they're just a tile with 3 different action tokens on it. And you place it into a little board space. And then as the game goes, you're connecting them. Any action symbols that are kind of orthogonally like adjacent, like in a run, you get that many of that action tile. And then you spend the rest of your turn spending those action tiles until you're almost out of action tiles, and you place another fate tile and you get more action tiles. I'm not great at the placing.
Sure.
Father Greg was a bit more efficient at the placing, so he had a bit more action tiles to play with. But if you're efficient, you're kind of having a lot of the same action tile. But you can again 2 for 1 this thing. But yeah, I just really enjoy this game. I think it's an excellent mid-weight to heavy Steffenfeld game.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that feature contracts.
Yes.
Where you like have to meet certain goals and try to fulfill them or whatever. This is all about fulfilling goals. Like usually the contracts are like a part of the game, but then you're also like moving around on the board.
Yeah.
Here it's just like, here's a goal. Go get 2 blue guardians.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Now what? It's like, okay, now go land on 5 islands. Okay, now what? Okay, now try to get 8 people in the center area.
Yeah.
Okay, now what? Now try to get 4 bonfires. You're just kind of like continually doing that over and over again, trying to score as many of those goals as possible, and then eventually they kind of line up and things go this way and the portals go this way, and eventually your dudes can cross down through the portals to get to this ethereal land where just a bunch of bonfires are lit.
Sure.
The theme is
weird. Crazy.
But it is a fun game.
Yeah.
Then I played an oldie but a goodie, another classic. So we had played Welcome to the Moon with Father Greg Smith Windsor.
Oh, okay.
And Father Greg Smith Windsor didn't really like Welcome to the Moon because it's a normal board game. And Father Greg Smith Windsor likes one type of board game.
That's right.
Which is like engine building things where you can just turn one card into multiple cards. So we played Guildhall Fantasy Fellowship.
Oh, wow.
Which
That's
is like
an odd choice.
Which is like a short little 30-minute maybe card game where like you play a druid down and like the one druid does not much, but then if you play 3 druids, it gets better.
Okay.
Your 5th druid, but then sometimes you could take cards back into your hands. You can try and stay at that nice limit because you get to 6, you have to package them all up and then they go off to the side and then they're all done.
Sure.
But if you can stay at 4 or 5 and keep pulling one back, putting it out, get to do a big ability, pull it back, play it out, get to do another big ability.
Sounds fun.
This game took us 2 hours. It was absurd. I've never been so mad at somebody not taking their damn turn in some time. So Greg Smith was completely it was ugly. But but yeah, I still enjoy this as a game. But that was not the greatest experience.
Sure. Okay, so then it was Christmas. And Santa brought us some gifts in our stockings. And family had bought board games for the boys, so we got lots of stuff. Guess Who card game.
What?
Woo!
Guess who card?
Guess Who?
I don't
card
know.
Game.
Archaeology.
No, Guess Who, but a card game.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know such a thing existed.
And so this plays exactly like Guess Who. There's 2 decks. They're the same. You play them out in a grid, face up. You draw a card that gives you the person that you are, and then you just ask questions.
Sure, it's Guess Who. If you haven't played Guess Who, you're watching the wrong channel.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, Guess Who in a card game form exactly plays like Guess Who does. And you know what? It was pretty enjoyable. And it's neat to have a portable Guess Who where you're not bringing these boards along or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, we had fun time with it.
Cool. Then I went over to Father Dan's again. We played another oldie. It's a game that I have not played since Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather in a night where we were together and we went to watch this fight, but then the fight never happened because it was the fight happened, but you couldn't watch it because all the feeds got blown up. And,
yes.
And so we played Freedom the Underground Railroad.
Wow.
And
what a trip!
Yeah, so we won.
So who was this? This was Father Dan.
Yep.
You.
Just me and Father Dan.
Okay.
We just went and freed some slaves. It brought back memories of being in Detroit. I was like, Dan, I went to the Underground Railroad Monument.
Yes.
I looked across to Canada. I know exactly the feeling.
Yeah.
I was I don't know exactly the feeling, but I felt like in that moment, I knew exactly what they were going through. I was I could see Canada. It was just across the river.
Yeah, it's close, right?
Yeah. So it was a cool, it was a fun game. And,
cool.
We made it work and really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. Okay, this is probably my most delightful game experience of the month. Ellie's godparents got her Acorn Soup. This is a board game for 2-year-olds.
I know this game. I think Gaster has it.
Okay, does she? So it's the box is in the shape of a pot.
Yes.
And it comes with 8 recipe cards.
Mm-hmm.
And there's these wooden pieces of acorns, blueberries, leaves, this kind of thing. And the child looks at the recipe card, and they find the wooden pieces, and they put it in to the pot, and then they take their wooden spoon that comes with the game, and they stir it up. And then you do another recipe, and then you do a third recipe. Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. Hot dog.
It is so lovely.
Right.
Ellie, she's not quite 2 yet, but she's able to point out how many blueberries, and she's 3. And she grabs the blueberries, puts them in. Oh, it's darling. It's so sweet. It's so sweet.
It's great.
Acorn Soup. If you have a 2-year-old in your life, play Acorn Soup with them.
Sure.
You won't regret it. A tear will come from your eye.
With a tear in my eye.
This is the greatest day of my life.
Next game I played was Ticket to Ride Nordic Countries.
Wow.
So one of our very Dallas, they thought it
a nice 3-player
a wintry themed game would be appropriate. So Nordic Countries, all the trains have snow on them.
Yes.
And we played the game of Ticket to Ride Nordic Countries.
I love Nordic Countries so much.
It's fun. It's just got weird routes. Like
there's that big route.
Yeah.
Big route.
Big giant one. And it's easy to get stuck.
Yes.
You go to Mo i Rana, and if you're the first one to get there, you can really make someone's day miserable.
Yeah, sure.
Because there's a lot of treks that need to go through there.
Yes.
First person to get there gets the worm. Yeah. Hey.
Did you get the worm?
I did.
Nice.
But yeah, it was a good game.
Okay, another kids game. Ghost Blitz. Have you ever played Ghost Blitz?
I heard someone talk about Ghost Blitz.
Oh man, that's not the same. So Ghost Blitz, there's a deck of cards and there's 5 objects. So there's a green bottle, a red chair, a blue book, a gray mouse, and a white ghost. Did I say that? Anyway, sure. There's 5 objects, and it's a real-time game where your goal is to grab the object, or you can play it where you shout out the name of the object. But someone flips over a card, and the card is going to show 2 things. So it might show a blue mouse carrying a green bottle. Okay? And so in that case, there's a green bottle on the card and there's a green bottle. So you grab the green bottle. But now it might show a blue chair with a gray ghost. And so now in that case, none of those things actually exist. So you have to find the object that's not represented on the card. So it can't be the blue thing, it can't be the chair, it can't be the gray thing, and it can't be the ghost. So what is it?
Okay.
It's the bottle. Okay, and so your brain just kind of goes,
right,
and the kid's like, bottle. You're like, okay.
Yeah. I have this experience playing Spot It with my nieces.
Yes,
they're just better and faster at it than you are.
And so anyway, we were playing this. We were having lots of fun. It is a little bit of an equalizer, but it's still a little bit adults are going to do a little bit better than kids. But
played another oldie but a goodie. Another game that I haven't played in a long, long time. Bought it from you a long time ago, and that's Mystic Vale.
Wow, yes, you did.
So Mystic Vale, I love the concept. The theme is a little weird and obtuse, but
sure,
card crafting, deck building, just a good kind of old-fashioned...
And a weird thing where you're slipping cards into sleeves and they get more abilities based on the overlays.
That's right. So your deck doesn't get bigger. It's always 20 cards, but your cards get significantly better over time. And same thing, there's a pool, and so you're constantly taking points out of that pool, and when the pool's depleted, the game ends. The only problem that there's so many expansions that I have for this game that it just became so big, and so now the box is massive. And I can't bring it anywhere because it weighs 40 pounds.
Sure.
And it's just a behemoth and it takes time to set up because it's and there's so many different options. Well, do you want to set up this group of cards or this one? Or how do you want to differentiate? Great game.
Yeah.
It's just this is a game that became its own worst enemy because it got so big that it became too big for its bridges. And
we were board game shopping and we saw the Essential Edition.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, that's the Essential Edition.
Yeah. It's got the Essential Edition has 3 expansions. It's great. You should just get that.
Yeah. Good. That's awesome. Okay. This was the start of the game day. Okay, so we had a game day at the house where people would show up throughout the day, and Sarah gifted me with this day where I got to play board games all day over the Christmas break here. So it started off, Pierce showed up first, and so I brought Mindbug out because I think he would really like Mindbug. He loves Magic. He's in the process of building Magic the Gathering decks for Father Greg and I, so that we can have a good Magic the Gathering experience against each other. So he's working on that. But I said, okay, let's play Mindbug. As we were about to start playing Mindbug, Tom showed up, and so Pierce and I played a game of Mindbug, and then Pierce and Tom played a game of Mindbug. And that was fun to see them working things out. So Mindbug, you get a 10-card deck, randomized deck, the deck of cards, and you're just dueling. And everything is just it's Magic the Gathering just pared down to its simplest basic thing. So there's no health tokens, there's no defense, it's just your card is more powerful than the card you're attacking, you do away with the card, or you get taken out. You're poisonous, both get taken out, whatever. Fun to bring that back to the table and play a little game of Mindbug. So highly recommend it.
Cool.
For anyone who wants that Magic feeling but without the commitment or anything.
Yeah. It is satisfying. This was in one of my most played games of 2024.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Because the games are
Because they're quick. Yeah. That helps, right? Well, then Dave came over to Father Dan's house, and we played a game of Coimbra.
Nice.
And I don't think Dave liked it, but I like Coimbra. Coimbra's great. So you take dice, and you put dice in these little castle things. You claim them as your own, and then you go and you buy these cards, and the color of the card moves you up on that track. So it moves you up on the purple track, which makes all your purple dice more valuable because each dice has a color, and the color of the dice depends on like the action you're doing. So if you're getting a green dice, you're getting victory points. But like how many victory points? Well, it depends how high you are up on the green track, which means you got to buy green cards. Or the purple dice moves you around the board. It only goes as far as how many purple cards you have. Or the yellow dice gives you money, and so how much money do you want, and so on. So you're just buying cards with dice. The dice, like, doesn't matter what color. You don't need to use a purple dice to get a purple card.
Right.
But it's like, if you can do that, if you, at a certain point, you're like realizing, like, okay, I'm going to invest in my purple. So the purple's way up, and then you're like, oh, now I need to get purple cards. Like, I need to actually make sure these things are doing something. Just a satisfying, nice little game about being in Portugal and playing cards and moving up tracks.
I've had an interest in playing Coimbra for a while, so I'd like to get that played too. Speaking of, so our next game of the game day, Father Greg came over and he brought Tabannusi.
Whoa.
And what you're explaining right now in Coimbra,
that's right.
It's a very similar thing. So Father Greg has tried to explain Tabannusi on this channel before. And after playing Tabannusi, I have to say you've done a terrible job at representing Tabannusi. He keeps on saying, it's confusing, it's weird, it's hard, it doesn't make sense. It's like, Tabannusi is fine. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, lot.
There's two things you need to know. You're either building a foundation, which if someone else builds on that foundation, you're going to move up on that foundation color's track, which will get you more points for building that building type, or you're going to build a building of that color on that foundation that you created, which will then allow you to score the points based on where you are on the track. So either you're building on your foundation or someone else is building on your foundation, depending on who does which of those things. Either you're getting points for your buildings or you're moving up the track that gets you points. It's not that hard.
I mean, sure, when you explain it like that, it doesn't sound that hard.
It's just, now again, I won.
Right.
I feel like I grokked this game.
Right.
Immediately, and I was able to do what I wanted to do. So this is probably the least well-reviewed T game out there. It's like sitting at like 2,500 on BGG, but there's a lot of Board Game Geek comments that are like, why don't people like this? And I'm in that camp.
Sure.
Why don't people like this? This is a great game. Maybe it's not super original. The one original piece is the action selection, and it's a little wonky, but I liked it. You basically go to like a city?
Yeah, part of the city, district.
A district, and there's different actions that you can do in that district. And so there's actions that are similar to certain districts, and there's actions that are specific to a particular district. So you go to a district, and then you take a die from that district, and then that die just becomes a resource of that color. Okay, great. And then you're able to use that resource when you go to other districts. But the die number that you take, and only at this one moment does it matter, that's where you're going to move your worker to next. And so that's neat, where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I want to go over here. Oh, but there's no dice that get me there where I want to go first. So there's just a neat little puzzle for you to figure out there. And I like that. And then it's all about just building foundations, building buildings. And when you build foundations, there's bonuses on the spaces where you build the foundations that will give you stuff. So that had a bit of a Dogs of War feel, where it was like, I don't really want to build there, but I want that thing. So there's a little bit of that to figure out. And then my favorite thing, there was these scoring cards, where once you accomplished a particular task, and people just forgot that those existed, and I did not. And that's how I won the game.
Sure.
Yeah, I thought it was a really fun game. Really liked Tabannusi.
Well, for Christmas, I got Mary and Dallas the game of Paleo.
Oh,
so this is another new play. And so Paleo is a cooperative game where you're caveman in a Neolithic era, and you're trying to survive basically. But it's kind of a game where it's not a legacy game or anything, but you, like, there's a bunch of different decks, but you can like take any two and kind of mix them up and get something of like a kind of different play experience. So the first one is like take A and B and shuffle them together, or the next one's A and C or whatever, and you just kind of like create these little slightly different adventures, but really tight and like a nice cooperative game that plays in like a solid, nice little short thing, and it's cool. You're trying to meet these objectives. So you like flip a card. So like you put 3 cards in front of you, and each of the cards has backs. And the backs give you like some idea of what's on the card, but they don't tell you like completely. You have to choose one and like flip it over, and it's gonna have like some task that you have to fulfill. And it's gonna be like, now you need 3 axes to be able to like defeat this monster or something, this mammoth that's trying to hurt you or something. And you're like, oh, I only got 2, but then you can get help from the other players at the table and so on. But there's big objectives, and those give you like a piece of like a mammoth that you're like painting on the wall. And when you finally complete your mammoth, you win, and if you get like 5 skulls, then you lose. But yeah, very satisfying. We'll happily come back to this one. Nice little quick cooperative game that does it well.
Sounds fun, because so cooperative is not either of our favorite genres.
Right.
So, but every now and then a cooperative game comes onto my radar that I'm like, you know what, the mechanics of the feel, like, I think about it this way. I do not mind when people say that this was multiplayer solitaire in a game. So if a cooperative game also kind of has the feeling of a multiplayer solitaire, although you're still cooperating, but you're still doing your own little puzzle at the same time. And I feel like Paleo kind of fits in that kind of
a little bit. Like you're focused on yourself, because you're trying to, if you possible, it's best if you can have all the symbols. If you don't need the other player's help, that's like the best way to defeat the card. And so you're trying to build tools, because like maybe a guy only has 1 axe, but if he gets a tool, like a spear, now he's got like 2 axes or something, you know? And so now you might be able to defeat certain things on your own. And that's great, because then they can do whatever they want on their turn, and you don't need to help each other at a certain point. So yeah.
Okay, so then we got into a run at the game day of like fairly light games. And I busted out Faraway, because I love Faraway, and we played Faraway, and the people I thought would be frustrated by it were not as frustrated by it as I thought, which was a big win. Tom loved it, even though he knew he was going to do terrible, and he did do terrible. Dallas was just happy camper. He likes this game. So I just can't get enough of Faraway. I love it.
Yeah, you do.
And no matter what, like, I like looked at her. I said, Julia, you're going to get confused. But no matter what, remember, what you need for this card needs to be on the cards that are in front of that card. Remember this. She still forgot.
Of course.
What?
Of course.
Anyway, Faraway. Excellent.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll skip over his game day and come back to that later. But I went over to Mary and Dallas's house, and I played another new game. And this was Harmonies. So this is a game, they compared it kind of like to Reef, sort of, in that you're like, you're stacking colored discs on top of other colored discs to create patterns on a board that match certain cards. And then, but the cards you want to score, the difference, I guess, is with Reef is like you want to score the cards multiple times. So if you can get this pattern once, it'll give you like 4 points. But if you can get it twice, it'll score you 10 points. And if you get it all 3 times, it scores you like 17 points. So it's like they get incrementally better, and you're just trying to create all these little things. But as you complete things, you can like stack other colors on top. But certain cards, certain like tiles prohibit future stacking. Like you can stack a bunch of brown, but once a green goes on top, it's done. And then you put a cube on top of it when you complete that card, and now that thing is done. You can't change it anymore. And so eventually you kind of get stuck. But it is a really cool abstract puzzle. I will happily come to this one again. I love it.
So I was there. I played this too. I loved it. It was like the presentation, the art, the puzzle. It's beautiful. You're drafting cards that you're then going to try and figure out the puzzle for. And I'm terrible. This is not, like, I can't do this. I can't do this well. But I enjoyed every minute of it. So when a game is totally contrary to my type, and I still love it, it means it's an excellent game. So this is an excellent game.
Cool.
Okay, so before we played Harmonies of Marion Dallas, we played this, but I played it at the game day, so that's what's coming up here. But Middle Ages.
Sure.
Okay, this is a reimplementation of Majesty, so it's Marc-Andre, designer of Splendor. And this is another kind of engine builder situation. You have your fiefdom, and you have these different, what are they called? Estates. So you got these different estates. So there's like farms, and there's villages, and there's barracks, and there's ramparts, and there's churches, and there's palaces, and they all do like slightly different things. So you're going to draft tiles King Domino style.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is that you draft a tile, and then you move your figure down to the next row wherever you want, as long as it's available. And the further to the left the tile is, the earlier in turn order you'll go.
Theoretically, the worst tile you're getting.
Yes, the worst tile you're getting, that kind of thing. And so then when you add a tile to your fiefdom, you're going to get that tile's effect, and then you're going to get income based on how many other tiles of certain types you have is indicated by that building's income thing. And certain tiles will let you add like icons to tiles. So now instead of getting income for just these tile types, I'm now getting income for that tile as well. And so this is like the more you do, the better you get in a particular area. But okay, this game, I'd say this game is solid. This game is a good game. But if you don't have thick skin, you go home now. Okay, this game, holy Toledo! This is basically mean King Domino. Is essentially what this is. So there's a couple of building types that just like one building type removes tiles from players, another building type collects taxes from players, another like you can really like find yourself like I do on the losing end of things when you're going for like big money tiles, the palaces and the churches, but you don't have ramparts to defend yourself against barracks.
Yeah.
It's rough. So you just gotta know what you're getting into. And there's ways to do so again, people on BGG rank this start. It's mean. Wow. There's ways to defend yourself.
Sure.
It's just if the person explaining the game doesn't explain it well, then you might not know what's available to you. You just gotta put the puzzle together when you're first learning the game. Okay, there's threats and there's solutions to the threats. So you can either play the game taking advantage of the solutions, or you can not whine about it and know that you don't have a solution for that and go for a different strategy. You just know what you're getting into, and this game is awesome. And it plays 30 minutes. It's quick.
Well, then I went over to my aunt's house, and normally like my nieces and nephews come over, and so it's a bit chaotic and stuff like that, but they weren't able to make it this time, so it was just my aunt, my dad, and me, and so my aunt said, well, why don't you bring over a board game? And I was like, sure. And so I brought over the Crew Mission Deep Sea.
Nice.
Second
I saw you buy this.
Crew. Yes. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, sure. And we played a couple, we didn't finish like a full expedition of the Crew mission for Planet 9 or whatever. But I brought this one out, and I was like, you remember that first game we played? This is very, very similar, same sort of vein. And we played it, and we got like halfway through. Like, we played a fair number of hands of it. Ran into one snag at one particular moment. There was one mission that took us a long time to get over. But other than that, we were riding high. And like, for that age group, or like that, like people that love trick-taking games like that, whether it's age group or just like style of player that maybe isn't really into like a lot of board games but knows trick-taking games, this is great.
Yeah.
We just had a ton of fun playing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We played Shifting Stones. Nice, quick, lovely card game. You're shifting stones around in a grid, trying to make the patterns on your cards come to life, get points, race to points. Phil was really good at this game.
Yeah, I love Shifting Stones. Another new game. I got Aster for Christmas. Little Alchemist. Marion Dallas had a lot of fun playing Alchemist. But I was like, I don't know how you make a little version of this game. Like, I get Little Stone Age or Little Carcassonne.
Yeah, sure.
But Little Alchemist, like, how do you, like, it's a deduction game. Like, how can kids figure out deduction, you know?
Sure.
But it has a nice kind of, not legacy feel, but there are boxes that you open that make the game more difficult. And so if you're playing with like really little kids, you could just stay without opening any boxes. Like, you could just stay at that level forever. But once they get a little bit older, you're like, okay, why don't we open box number 2? Now we get to publish some theories. Okay, that's going to be interesting. okay, and then it's like, but it's like you have to play this game like 3 times before you can open box number 3.
Okay.
Because it's like, have some fun, stay there for a little while before you open box number 3 and see what that provides and stuff like that. So the rule book has like all these pages that are like taped together.
Yeah.
So like you're like break the seal on page number 3, and so you snap open it. Now you can open up more pages of the rule book. I think Esther enjoyed it. She's still a little young. She's like 5. It says like 7 up and stuff like that. So like still a little young, but she played with like her mom and like on a team, and she just liked taking pictures of the 2 things that she was mixing, getting a potion, being like, okay, well, we made a red potion. Do you remember how we made that? That person needs a red potion. So what do we need to make that? Okay. Right? And just, putting it together. It's great.
That does sound fun.
Yeah.
That's so fun. So then it was getting a little later in the game day, and Alexia and Phil were over, and I busted out. Pierce was there, and Pierce was like, well, why don't we play Veil of Eternity? Because I got an expansion for Veil of Eternity. Didn't get that played. Because I was like, you know what? I don't think Alexia's going to love like the Pokemon kind of style theme. So I brought out Forest Shuffle, because it's pretty much the same game. Just with
birds and
more accessible.
Right.
Birds, bugs, and insects. And we played a lovely game of Forest Shuffle, and it was so good. I did well. I've now gotten like, I know how to play Forest Shuffle now. I know what I'm looking for. I know which ways I can go when things aren't working out my way. It's a game that pivoting is crucial.
Right.
You got to pivot, and you got to kind of leave yourself open to strategies that you know might be out there. And so played a great game of Forest Shuffle.
Next, I played a game, and I don't know why they called it what they called it, because it's about animals. And, if you had a Latin name, you might call it Animalia, but they just called this game Nidavellir.
Oh.
Just take off the A, I don't know.
Weird.
Nidavellir. So this is a game like Honshu, sort of, where you got cards, but you're laying the cards over top of other cards. You're like covering up certain parts of the card. But there's different ways. Like every game is a little different because you deal out certain cards, and it'll tell you like, I don't know, on the cards there's lions and crocodiles and giraffes and panda bears and whatever. There's all these different kinds of cards, but then you'll play this game, you want crocodiles next to giraffes, because every crocodile that's next to a giraffe is going to score 5 points or whatever. Or the player with the most gorillas is going to score 5 points, but the person with the most pandas is going to lose 5 points.
Okay.
So you don't want pandas in your park. So every time there's a panda, you're always trying to cover it up.
Sure.
And you're just drafting cards, handing cards back and forth to your neighbor, and then putting them down in your tile. What are
the rules for overlaying?
So basically, your new card has to cover some part of what's already there.
Okay.
In Honshu, you can place it under. Here, you can't place it under. It always has to go on top.
Okay.
But like the new card has to go on top.
Does that create like
something.
a bulge? Like, is there
a little bit, not much though. Really, like you're mostly kind of spreading out, but you're limited, kind of like King Domino, to like a 5x5 grid.
Okay.
So like eventually you start having to cover up, like even. Like
can you just cover up something? You
could, yeah. Like so, eventually you kind of maybe
like if I played a card down, could I put a card completely on top of that card?
You could, and sometimes it's worthwhile, especially if that card is like a bunch of pandas or whatever, and you don't want them to score, but you're trying to create these little patterns and stuff like that, and so there was this card that was like the player who has the most gorillas gets 5 points, and the player who has the most pandas loses 5 points, and Mary had a whole bunch of pandas, and so she lost a lot of points. And so, won't say what the final score was, but it was a little ugly. But
wasn't pretty.
It was a fun little game, a little easy breezy game.
Maybe Mary didn't find it as fun.
No, she likes the game still, but I think they've played it other times that they've enjoyed more. But
that sounds good. That sounds really good, actually. Then after Forest Shuffle, Pierce was like, let's play Splendor. So we played a great game of Splendor.
Nice.
Splendor has a new edition now, and I'm kind of, it changes nothing. It's just different art and stuff. So I'm kind of like, maybe this is time to finally get Splendor in my collection. But this game of Splendor definitely like piqued that interest in me. But again, Pierce was like finishing the game. He was like, is it safe for me to finish the game? I was like, I think it is. I was not. Yeah. Philip snuck out the win. He had more points at the end of the day. Yeah. But yeah, I just love a good game of Splendor. We probably oversold the like level 1 building things up, so Alexia and Phil was the first time playing, and so we completely ran out of level 1 cards.
Wow, okay, you're way too slow. Yeah.
So it was a little, it's a little. We got a little gummed up at the beginning, but no, good game.
Sometimes I've been known to get a little bit angry in board games. Sometimes.
K-Flow.
Yeah, Manhattan Project.
Aquas.
Okay, listen, we don't need to bring up all of the times that I've been mad in board games. There was one game that made me mad recently.
Oh,
this
boy.
was a new game, Black Forest.
Wow.
Neat little game. Like, I saw Capstone and, like, Feuerland on the front of the box, and I was like, ugh, okay. And then they were like, it's an Uwe Rosenberg. I was like, okay. And it's a bigger box than normal, and I was like, ugh. And they were like, it plays in, like, an hour. And I was like, okay. So, yeah, this is Glass Road with a few other little, kind of a board that you're moving around, little dudes to, and stuff like that. It's got a few other little things, like maybe from other Uwe Rosenberg games, but...
Do you have, like, a personal board that you're building buildings onto?
Yes.
Clearing forests?
Yeah, you're clearing forests, putting
okay.
plains and lakes, and, yeah, trying to build buildings and victory points, and, yeah, all these little things. So, this is a game where... Basically, there's this like wheel, and you move your resources like clockwise around this wheel when you gain them. So you gain 3 coal, and you move like your coal 3 things along this wheel. But at a certain point, once you've moved up resources far enough, you like move the arms of the clock, like the little arms, and so it
when
moves.
There's nothing impeding
That's
an
right.
arm.
It kind of snaps, and then it creates like a good resource. So in this case, there's glass on one wheel and provisions on the other. So those are kind of like the bigger resources that are hard to get because you have to move up like 4 or 5 resources up this track to get one window or one glass or one provision. But then you're using those. Those are the kind of usually the things that you're looking for. But it's an automatic thing. So like as soon as you spend coal, like even if you're like, oh, I gained 3 coal. It's like, okay, now the wheel moves, and now you've only got 2 coal.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, but I gained 3. It's like, yeah, but you had to use that 1 to get a provision.
Yeah.
Like, you cooked a meal with it. Oh, okay. And there's this thing. So there's all these, like, goals where you're trying to get to, like, so, like, I had a bunch of pigs, and I was getting a card that, like, benefited me for killing pigs. Every time I slaughtered a pig, and for meat, I got, like, 2 points. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to kill as many pigs as I can. So I was trying to develop a little farm area. And then there was a tile that came out. It was like, if you go here and you have 5 meat, you can exchange that 5 meat for like 5 water and 5 oatmeal and 5 coal and 3 wood. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. So I went with 5 food to this spot. I was like just about to cash it in. And then Dallas goes and does an action that gives me another resource. Great. Normally that's perfect. Except that one resource like moved my arm up. And so then now I only had 4 food. Oh my gosh, I was mad.
And you had to take it.
Yeah, you cannot refuse. The rulebook says you cannot refuse.
Oh man, that's dirty.
What is this?
In a game where the resources work like that?
Yeah.
You should have full autonomy and control over those wheels. Now again, I haven't played. I'm sure I'd like it.
Yeah, you would if you like Glass Road.
I love Glass
it's
Road.
very similar. It doesn't have the card play mechanic, but other than that, it works very similarly. A good game, even if it makes me furious.
That's right.
But otherwise, a good game. Yeah.
Father Greg, do you think I got any better at Finca?
I hope so.
Nope.
Oh.
Still just the worst. Played Finca with Pierce and Phil, and again had lots of fun. I got furious at one point though. I was mad. There was grapes. So it's a rondel mechanism where you have farmers on a rondel, and you're going to get the number of resources as there are farmers on the tile you land on, and you can only move the number of spaces as there are farmers on the tile you move from. And there were 2 grapes. There was a grape, like an orange, and another grape. Mm-hmm. And just there was a section of the game where we needed grapes. Like there was grape contracts everywhere.
Sure.
And it just wasn't working for any of us to be able to get our people on grapes. And then I was there. I was going to be able to get grapes. And then Phil moved his farmer off the thing. And I couldn't get grapes anymore.
Sad I missed that. But I was there at the end. I remembered hearing you swear at Phil.
I didn't swear at Phil.
You can tell yourself that all you want. I saw the look on his face. Marion Dallas bought me a game for Christmas, and And then they saw that Father Dan was selling it, that same game.
Sure.
And then they were like, oh, maybe this game isn't any good. And I was like, don't worry, it's great. Father Dan's just horrible at it.
That's right.
And this game is...
He lost and he's a baby.
That's right. This game is Eicky, or
Yes.
Icky, or something like
Eicky?
that. I think it's
Eicky.
Eicky, yeah. It's like a Japanese virtue of being like an ideal Polish citizen kind of thing.
Sure, okay.
I don't know. You're going around a market buying... I don't... like... You're going... I don't know if that's the ideal of what the human person is supposed to be, but the way you get Eicky in this game...
A consumer.
Yeah, it's just like going around and buying stuff. But you go buy stuff and you hire workers to be in shops, and then randomly fires might break out.
Sure.
And kill your farmers or even your buildings that you build, and that's horrible.
You need an insurance policy.
So you need to move up on a firefighter track. Why do you need to move up on a firefighter track? And more importantly, how do you move up on a firefighter track? And one of the best ways to move up on the firefighter track is by buying pipes.
Okay.
So every time you buy a pipe, you move up on the firefighting track.
Okay.
Because smoking saves lives.
Okay.
That's the moral of
I like the morals.
So the theme is like a little weird, but
Sure.
this is a lovely medium weight Euro.
Yeah.
It's like 10 years old. Hard to believe. I think it
great.
came out maybe not here 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I don't know.
no. So I think we kind of gained normal access to it only a couple of years ago, but
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a 2015 game. I was like, man, this is great. I love
Yeah,
this.
that's sweet. I want to try it for sure. Okay, to end the game night, Father Greg was over, and I always like to do this. I was like, oh, we got more than 4 players. Everdell plays 4. Let's play it at 5.
Sure.
So we brought out the expansion pieces we needed, and we played Everdell at 5 with a couple new players, Caitlin and Kenton. They enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. We all enjoyed it. It was a good game. Everdell gets a little crazy when you try and play with more players than 4.
It does, yeah.
But it worked out. Now, in this vein, I'm going to attack on my next experience. So that gave me... So here's... Father Greg broke my Evertree. He broke
That's not true.
He squished it. He said, I'm going to put this together, and I'm going to be ham-handed, and I'm just going to rip this thing to pieces. Good luck.
The thing was garbage before I tried to put it together.
So I was getting mad at Father Greg to Sarah. Not actually, but
Right.
we're talking about this idea. And she was like, yeah, no, I saw the kid at game night just reefing on that thing. I was like, oh, okay. So it did come to Father Greg. Now again, Father Greg was in charge of leading that game, so it did happen under your supervision.
Wow.
But Father Greg said, you know what? Like, you can get like a wooden tree that you can do. And so at work, Father Greg gifted us with a little Christmas bonus, and so I got a gift card to Amazing Stories. And I thought, you know what? When I'm not like spending my own money sort of thing, it's when I feel a little better to like get things I wouldn't normally get. And so I got a wooden Evertree.
Wow.
Got a wooden Evertree, and along with it, since I was in the Everdell mood, I got New Leaf expansion for Evertree.
Sure.
And so I crammed that all together, and Sarah and I played a couple of games of Everdell with New Leaf and the new wooden tree. Oh, this is the way to play Everdell.
Sure.
With a nice wooden tree and New Leaf. Oh, man. New Leaf is fun.
Okay.
So New Leaf adds a bunch of cards. Like a bunch of cards. And I didn't like it at first. So in Everdell, you can build a construction, and then you can add a critter, a very specific critter, to that construction for free. Like you play a critter in your city for free. You put a little door on the construction card to indicate that it's occupied. In New Leaf, they're a little more generic, where it's like, this critter can go to any green construction. Or whatever. So it's a little more, but it has a yellow banner, and you're given 3 golden doors. And so you can only use 3 golden doors over the course of the game, and then you can use the normal doors as normal on the normal cards. And that first was like, but it works. You just, with the new cards, you have lots more options. There's lots more things to do. There's fun. It just opens the game up, and the spaces it adds are like discard 3 cards to the meadow or station, and then put new cards out, and then you draw 3 cards. So you're just getting through the deck a lot. So Sarah, her main gripe with Everdell is that it's tight at the very beginning, and you don't get through a lot of the deck, especially at 2 players. This expansion solves all those problems. You're given a ticket, and so you can use this ticket, you can flip it over, and you can move occupied worker to another space, and then in summer your next half of the ticket like is able to be redeemed, and then you discard it. So twice in the game, you can move an occupied worker. Then that's just a nice little... You also get a little seal where you can reserve a card. So you just spend a turn to reserve a card, and then you can purchase that. Then you can build that card at one discounted resource. So just little things like that, just kind of open the game up. Lots of different. And this is a game where usually, if a game opens up with an expansion, I get a little frustrated. I'm like, what's the point? Like Everdell's fun because it's tight, and this is fun. Cool. It opens up, and you're just kind of breezing through. You're doing your thing. My favorite thing about New Leaf is you got passengers that come through town, and they're endgame scoring conditions. And so you get them, and then if you fulfill them, you're going to get a bunch of points at the end of the game. And it's like 6 points for 6 Leaf cards in your city, or 9 points for having 2 of each card type. And I just love building towards that kind of stuff. Everdell with New Leaf? Aces.
Cool. I've played every expansion with Marion Dallas except for this one. This is the one that's on our list to go. So, and the solo one.
Yeah, sure.
But Mistweave. But other than that, yeah, looking forward to it. So then Marion Dallas, New Year's Eve, Dallas's birthday. So they had a kind of a party night, but there was 6 people at this party night. And so 6-player games, a little more tricky to come by. But so the first game we played was Letter Jam.
Okay.
And we spent a lot of time making fun of Daniel Pettipaw.
Come on.
We're like, no, don't just come up with any word. Just because you can come up with a word doesn't mean you should. You have to make sure it's a good word.
Oh, yeah.
And we did fine. Not great, but fine.
Yes.
Yeah, Letter Jam.
I can't defend myself. I have no ground to stand on. What was it? It was like it or something.
Yes, he was like, I can make a word. Makes the word it. I-T.
Okay, Ethan wanted to play a game. It was just him and I. We woke up before everybody else, and he wanted to play 7 Wonders Architects. He saw World Wonders on the table because I brought that over for the game day. We didn't get it played. And he was like, is that the one where you build? I was like, yeah. And I started bringing it up. I was like, no. 7 Wonders. I was like, oh, okay. Right. So brought 7 Wonders Architects, played a nice 2-player game of 7 Wonders. 7 Wonders Architects. Holy, shout out.
Sure.
Shout out. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why not? Like, it's the 7 Wonders that bridges to everyone. Everyone who feels put up by 7 Wonders Architects just reaches a gentle hand out and says, come, enjoy. It doesn't really play like 7 Wonders.
No. But it plays its whole different game.
But it's lovely.
Yeah. The next game I had picked up when we went shopping for board games on Boxing Day was So Clover. And that plays up to 6. So I was like, why don't we play So Clover? And So Clover is a game where like you get 2 random words. Like, I don't know, I had one that was concert and tobacco. And it was like, I had to find a word that kind of connected those two. So I was like, rock concert. I put rock. It's like it's a concert with tobacco, probably. You know, and so like you try to kind of put like a word that kind of bridges those two. Or I had king and hide, and so I put like exile. Was like my clue or something. So you're kind of sometimes you're looking for really random words. Like I had flower and laser. I was like, I have no idea what word connects flower and laser. Like whatever. So you put all these words together, but then once you've created it, you like take all your cards and you shuffle them up, and you even add like a mystery card into the mix, and then it's sort of cooperative in the sense that your team has to kind of put the cards back into their original place based on your clues. So they're looking at a ton of words, and they're like, well, what 2 words could have to do with exile? Like, I don't know, like a king maybe could be an exile, but then what other word? I don't know. Like, and there's a 5th card that you didn't even see that's just thrown in there. And so, like, that could have a word that you're like, oh, no. Point is that if they do it perfectly, you get 6 points. If everyone figures out what your original card was like on the first try, you get 6 points. If not, you can get like 4 points, or you get less than that, and so on. Everyone else at the table all got 6 points. Like Dallas put out his card, 6 points. Mary put out her card, 6 points. Everyone else at the table, 6 points. I got 3. My clues were not so clear, unfortunately. And so I ruined the perfect score. It's like we were this close to getting a perfect score.
That's funny.
Ruined it.
Cool.
But yeah, fun game.
Okay, speaking of Everdell, it was an Everdell kind of Christmas, My Little Everdell.
Whoa.
My Little Everdell. And this is the one that landed with the boys, right? Like,
Okay.
oh man, like Owen again, he doesn't like losing, but he got into it. He got frustrated a couple times, but like this is cool. So you don't hold a hand of cards. So because kids, I find they like hold their cards and they're looking at one and they don't look through. They don't know how to keep everything in mind. So you just have 8 cards that are kind of available to everyone, and you have worker placement spaces. You roll dice. 1 dice per player, and those are the better spaces.
Sure.
The dice have like 1 of each resource, or 2 berries, or 2 resin, or 2 wood, or 2 wild resource, or whatever. And you put those out, so you can go to those spaces. And then you can everyone can go to the spaces that give you 1 resin, 1 wood, or 1 berry. And so you're going, and there's 8 cards out there, and there's no, like, you can't build a critter just because you built a construction. It's just, there's cards that want resources, and there's cards that want berries. And there's construction cards, and there's critter cards, and there's parades. And so the parades are the first person to build 5 constructions gets the top parade of that type, and that's going to give them 6 points. The next person will get 5 points. The next person will get 4 points. That kind of thing. Again, with critters, whoever gets the 5 critters first gets a parade. Then it gets a little complex on some of the cards, where they still have the cards that have their own individual worker placement spots. They still have cards that will say, for every parade, like whenever you build a parade, get an additional resource. So there's a little bit of things you need to explain.
Right.
It says 6+ on the box. I would put 8+.
Yeah.
But it worked for my boys. My boys could figure it out. Ethan right away realized that the red constructions with its own worker placement space were worth getting. That now he could copy a worker placement space that was already occupied.
Right.
Okay, let's go. So lots of fun. And so you just play 4 rounds, and a round consists of putting out your 3 workers, and that's it. So there's no variable round lengths or things like that. So my Little Everdell, big fan.
This is a big month of Everdell for you.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I love me some Everdell.
Well, it was Dallas's birthday, so we thought, he should pick the games, and so there's like a big stack, and I was like, well, you pick whatever you want. He's like, I don't want to pick. I picked the first 2. You could pick, but this you should pick this one, And I was like, hey, Dallas, do you want to play Green Team Wins? He was like, do I ever?
Oh gosh.
I hate this game.
It's not great.
But anyways, we played it.
I'm sure you had fun with it.
We did. It was like 6 people. It was a lot. It's actually better with bigger groups because you
Yes.
get more difference of opinions and
Sure.
it's fun to hear different people's thoughts around the table of like very hard and fast. Like there was like doctors at the table, and there was like a question like, which is better, like cookie dough or something else? Like it's not nearly as good. It was icing, like frosting, frosting on a cake. And frosting's too sweet, and so I was like, it's got to be cookie dough. She was like, anybody who puts cookie dough, like, you can get salmonella from the raw eggs that are in there. I was like, no. Cookie dough is vastly superior to frosting. You're crazy.
Sure.
Anyway, so it was a lot of fun.
That is fun.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, this is the next game that landed so well for my kids. This is the best. The best. I'm so happy. And this is good news for everybody. King of Tokyo Origins.
What?
It's a small box King of Tokyo. So it's just 4 characters.
Okay.
So it's a 4-player King of Tokyo. Its price point is like $25, $30 depending on where you get it. And so Sarah and I were like, hey, like, great. Like, we've always wanted to get King of Tokyo for the boys. But it always feels a little bit expensive for what it is. So this was just like, oh yeah, sure. So 4 new characters. So if you get King of Tokyo after this, you're not doubling up on characters. There's like a big ape, an Ironback.
Sure.
There's a T-Rex Godzilla hybrid. There's a hamster robot. Plays exactly like King of Tokyo, except because it's 4 players, it just has 1 space in Tokyo. But I was surprised. I didn't think my kids would really gel with the cards. When I first played King of Tokyo way back when, I kind of ignored the cards with the education. Ethan, just like a hawk, was like reading. So they both can read now. And so he's reading and he's like, oh, yeah. And so he's just like, energy lightning bolts are like his favorite thing to roll.
Sure.
And he like sniped us with this card. There was a 9-cost energy card that every time other players re-rolled, they lost a health.
Oh.
And so he killed us with that.
Wow.
So yeah, so this is a game where each boy and myself, we were like, we've all won. Legitimately. Right. I forgot how great King of Tokyo
King of Tokyo is fun. I haven't played that in a long time.
Oh, King of Tokyo is so good. And this is a great, like, if you're like humming and hawing about King of Tokyo, just throw this into your cart. Just, just throw it in. You're not going to play at 6 most of the time anyway. Right. Except for if you're celebrating Dallas's birthday.
That's right.
But, man, I was so happy with King of Tokyo.
Right. I like a good kind of hidden identity game, Resistance, Shadows over Camelot, any of those things. But we played Bang. And not even Bang the dice game.
Like
just
the card
Bang.
game.
Yeah,
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, we played Bang.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And, it's sort of fine, right? It's like, hey, there's a sheriff and there's a deputy who has to protect the sheriff, and then there's a renegade who wants everyone to die, and then there's 3 outlaws who all want the sheriff. So, like, things are weighted against the sheriff, Yeah. And the sheriff is the only guy who has to reveal himself.
Sure.
So at the start of the game, the sheriff, says who he is.
Yep.
And then from now on, everyone's against the sheriff. And
That's
it's
right.
like, who's the secret guy who's trying to protect him?
That's right.
I started off as the sheriff, and it did not go well. Holy, 3 people attacking you, just bloodthirsty monsters. Like, I defended against Mary, but then Dallas was just pelting me, and it was like, okay. Actually, he was on my side, but the other people were just merciless. Shooting me one time after another. I was losing health left, right, center. I died. The Outlaws won. They were happy.
Oh yeah, I never really loved Bang. I had some fun times with Bang.
Right.
But then when I got the dice game, it changed everything.
Right.
Okay, last game I played, going out with a bang.
Not Bang, though.
Not bang. You almost went out with the bang. Santa, elf, cookie.
What?
Santa, cookie, elf, candy, snowman. This is like a Christmas version of that taco, goat cheese, pizza game. Cat, goat cheese, candy, elf.
Taco cat?
Taco, cat, goat cheese, pizza.
What are you talking? I'm sorry. What are you talking about?
I'm having a stroke.
The man has gone insane.
Okay, so taco, cat, goat cheese, pizza. This is the Christmas version of it. Santa, cookie, elf, candy, snowman. So it's a stupid card game where you're saying Santa, cookie, elf, candy, snowman as you're playing cards around in a circle. And if the player is playing the card of the word, then you all race to slap the pile of cards in the center. And the last person to slap the pile gets all the cards that are in the middle, and you're trying to get rid of your cards.
Sure.
And then there's these special cards where you have to do like a hand gesture, then slap that's reindeer, by the way.
Okay, wow.
And then slap the deck. And so the kids learned that Sarah had a friend over, and she knew taco, cat, goat cheese, pizza, so she played this with the kids, and then the kids taught me how to play, and we got Ellie involved, and she was like slapping and giggling and stupid.
Sure.
But I could see, like, why not?
Right.
Why not play this game?
It's great. Well, I ended off with a bang as well. Not bang, but another bang. We played Yo Ho Ho Skull King.
Sure. Yo Ho Ho.
So this
that's the way to end the year.
This is a card bidding. You're bidding on tricks, trying to make them, but then there's all these weird Skull King and pirates and mermaids and
Kraken.
And so played it with 6 people, and if you bet 0, especially as the cards go up higher, they can get a lot of points. So we had a few people that were just kind of betting like zeros, and they were moving on up. And so finally, I was doing well. I was doing pretty good, but I was behind them. And so it was the 10th round. I just had to go for 0. I just had to go for 0.
That's 100 points.
Yeah, I didn't make it. So I finished quite low.
Yes.
I think I might have lost. But
well, that's a lot of points to lose, because you lose those points.
Yeah. And there was a guy that was like -10. I think I still lost. But yeah. Anyways, no, it was fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, party people. Those are all the games that we played in the month of December. Let us know what you thought of our list. And again, let us know what you've been playing, what you think we might like based on the games we seem to like as we're talking about these games. But before we go, we're going to tell you what our favorite board game of the month of December was. Everdell New Leaf. For me,
Sure.
it's the best in a month of a lot of competitors. Tabannusi, Middle Ages, Bonfire. Like there's a lot in the running here, but Everdell with New Leaf expansion, that's a new favorite for me. Holy Toledo, that's great.
Cool. I think I might go Harmonies.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed
Yes.
Harmonies. That cracks an itch that I like. I like
That
puzzles.
cracks an itch.
Something like that.
Scratches your
an
crack.
itch. Something like that. It does something. But I don't know what it does, but it's great. It feels good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you have it, party people. If you like this video, please press the like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, party people.
Have the best day. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year!